The following is an Outdoor Channel original production.
The symbiotic relationship between conservation and the sustainable use of wildlife is often misunderstood. Modern society prefers to ignore the reality that these massive conservation efforts are funded by hunting, and thus hunters themselves serve as their greatest protectors. In North America, protection of iconic species like the white-tailed deer begins with careful collaboration between the hunting community and government-run state management. Working together, they closely study these populations to protect and manage their health. But such work is a year-round affair, and in the extreme winter conditions of the South Dakota heartlands, biologists funded by hunters are raising the bar of conservation to a whole new level.
Man, this is freezing cold weather. Whew. Well, it's frigid outside. It's -9 degrees as we drive across the prairie of South Dakota. Having arrived in the dark here, and we're just heading to Pierre, which is the capital of the state, to meet with Chad Switzer from Fish and Game, who is going to tell me a little bit about their white-tailed deer program. The white-tailed deer is the most hunted animal on the planet. Therefore generates the most hunters' dollars in revenue and is able to support the biggest research initiatives anywhere in the country. Chad, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Ivan?
Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for all your time.
Absolutely. Whitetails would be probably our most pursued big game species in the state. They're the most abundant and most readily available. I would say, looking back 50, 70 years ago, folks got pretty excited. I remember my grandpa talking about how it was a big deal in the coffee shop at the gas station to actually see a deer.
No way.
You know, it's hard for folks to imagine that today. Deer hunting is a big economic boon to the state.
And a giant proportion of that funding in some way, shape or form ends up back into the conservation of that species, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The license fees are matched with federal dollars, you know, whether it's Pittman-Robertson or other federal dollars that come in. Landowners are key in this state. 80% of the land is owned by private landowners.
That's
so
high
we've got to be able to work and cooperate with our landowners to make things work and do the best we can for these species.
Do you know how many you've got out there that are collared? How many you collar each year?
As we conclude our collaring efforts this year, the captures and collars, we're probably going to be around that 1,000 to 1,200
Wow.
Deer ready market across the state.
That's a great segment of the population to draw some averages on.
It is, and so we're radio marketing and studying annual survival rates is our predominant feature that we want to obtain from this is survival rates to help us better estimate population size and change in population and allocate the highest number of hunting opportunities through licenses that we can still maintain that population where we want it.
Chad, so collaring these animals, I mean, that must be quite a deal. What does that look like? How do they do it?
It's an interesting event. My staff are out there as we speak right now doing this.
Oh, really? So they're doing it right at the moment?
Right now, I would really encourage you to get out there and spend some time with the capture crew and my staff, and they'll show you all the ins and outs.
Well, I'd love to. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it.
Coming.
Thanks so much.
Well, we're just coming up to the Fish and Game office here in Chamberlain, where I'm hoping we're going to meet the capture team and everybody that's about to be on the front line of this deer capture.
How's it, Mike?
Hey, how's it, Ivan?
You fine?
Good, and you?
Good, man. Yeah, lekker.
Good.
What's happening?
Nothing's good. Good, and you?
Yeah, good, man.
Yeah.
No catching today.
No. Today we have, I think they say -21 Fahrenheit or something ridiculous temperatures.
Yeah, leaning out of a helicopter in this weather wouldn't be fun.
Not at all. So the nice thing about this system, so this is the net gun itself. Okay.
Tiny little system.
Yeah, it's just break up and barrel. We don't use a bolt action anymore. This is much safer, quicker.
Yeah.
Close it. You don't have to pull the hammer back. Only when you've got the net gun out the door and coming up to animal, you can pull the hammer back. So everything is about safety. We want to be safe in the helicopter.
Of course. So there's a packed net.
Yeah, so feel that one. That one's heavier.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you've got 4 stainless steel weights and the net inside there. So that's what it looks like when it's packed.
Wow. So there's a lot of moving parts to this.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. You've got so many combinations. You've got the size of the net, the mesh size, the thickness of the cord, whether the net's got knots or not, the angles, the weight size, the charge size. Then you've got the wind. Tailwind, headwind, side wind.
And then the animal.
Oh, then the animal. There's so many variables.
You know, you look at these things and as we hopefully going to find out in the coming days, this is one of the chosen methods of catching animals, and we're going to hopefully understand exactly why. But really, when you look at this equipment, everything from the helicopter, the pilot, the net gun itself, the choice of nets, the choice of weights, the design of this whole thing, this is some cool and very interesting stuff. And I wouldn't have thought that a 308 blank and a piece of nylon netting would be your choice for capture, but it sure is, and from what I hear, these guys do pretty well with it. There's some recoil to this thing, eh? Sheepers, I didn't think it would have so much recoil.
It was perfect.
Sure, this is a piece of equipment. You could see how that net spread out onto that bank, and if that was a white-tailed deer or any animal running and that net went over it like that, it would stop it dead in its tracks. Well, after a couple of shots and seeing how this thing works, I can't wait to seeing it being fired out of a helicopter at a live running animal. So hopefully the weather's going to break. Hopefully we'll get a little bit warmer weather tomorrow and we'll be able to do some of the real thing. There's no way we'll get these vehicles over this drift. Well, here we are in a long, cold drive. Looks like they're just getting the chopper out right now. Mike, how's it, man?
Hello, Diamond, how are you?
You certainly turned on the heating here.
I'm telling you, it's tropical in this part of the world.
Yo, so you're all ready to go already, eh?
Yeah, we are. We're about to fire up the machine and we're going to head down to the river here and we're going to start catching a bunch of prawns this morning. They wanted us to do 210 and we're down to the last 15.
Oh, perfect.
So we would have liked to have got it all done, but some weather delays.
It's cold. And so at what point is it really dangerous for the deer?
My concern is that when we chase deer, we like to chase them quickly and get them down the ground. So if you chase them too long and it's too cold, then it can actually start breaking the lungs down and they start capillaries, they start drowning themselves.
Basically their lungs start freezing.
Absolutely, and then we start getting mortalities, and the whole objective is to catch these things, but this cold weather can cause a problem.
Sure.
So we're going to try it today with this cold weather. We just have to get onto them quickly and then process them quickly and then get them loose. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we look forward to seeing you in the field.
No, super. Sounds great.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Good to
Simon.
see you.
Yeah, you
Lekker.
too.
Well, it's incredibly cold. The team is getting ready to go. All sorts of things that they've got to keep in mind. But most importantly, the welfare of the deer in these frigid temperatures. It's below 0 Fahrenheit, which is about 20 degrees below Celsius. And so you've literally got to make sure that the deer don't freeze their lungs. So it's going to be interesting to see how they overcome this. Off to get the first whitetails. We're going to follow in the vehicles. We've got a whole vehicle here full of fuel and all of the backup stuff, and so they're going to go and catch right now, and then we'll meet them at the landing zone. Well, we've just arrived at the landing zone where the chopper's going to come in here, where they'll refuel and repack all of the nets that they fired. The biologists are in front of us. The truck with the fuel is here. Now we're just going to go ahead and check the landing zone itself. Well, the weather dictates that this is where we're going to have to stop, because there's no way we'll get these vehicles over this drift. It's quite a deep snow drift. It's probably 3 or 4 feet deep. You don't know how hard packed the snow is underneath here. So we're actually going to go into this field and set up here, and this will be where they come in. Well, they've just been discussing where the whitetails are. We're going to actually stay here. They're going to work a little bit closer to us here. They've got a certain quota for each of the counties and for each of the properties, and so they've still got to get 3 or 4 more for quota before we can actually move. So they're going to take off. They're going to carry on. The chopper's already been refueled, and hopefully they'll get another few whitetails.
A lot more near, like I say, and if the land's flatter, we can work better. But to work where we're working here, and we're hardly finding deer. So the few deer we are finding, like we'll find a group of 5 and 1 target. There's only 1 fawn. To try and get in there and work them, it's just fawn bunches under. We're going to kill it, is what we're going to do.
Okay, we'll head there, and then if we have to, then we'll work back down.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a great plan.
All right. So basically, you can't get them here.
Now that we know the topography and the wind, because since you go down the valleys, and we've only finding small pockets like 3s and 4s,
But the wind is tumbling it.
Yeah, and we only have to find like try to find fawns. So we can catch a whitetail, but we have to catch a fawn.
Yeah.
And they just turn to go hide into the trees. 10 minutes and then we're out of here.
Perfect.
So we're just getting the door on the helicopter, and I'm just getting a helmet on, so we're going to move areas and go and see if we can find some more whitetail in a different place.
Well, step 1 is to get the net untangled, and then to tie him up so he doesn't escape halfway through the process. So Roy's just tying him up with this rubber strap. You know, every step of this is for the welfare of the animal, and obviously the safety and the security of the team. And each one of these deer has got a packet assigned to it like this. What's in this packet is the collar, the card where you fill in the paperwork. This collar's got an elasticated band on it because these are young deer and they're going to grow, so you want the collar to expand. So making sure that you got the paperwork associated with this animal is also absolutely crucial, so that the biologists can enter this into their system and really know exactly where we collared this animal, which collar went onto it, what its measurements were, and all of the other data that we need to gather for them. Now we're just getting the neck size of this animal, and then we're also going to record the size of the collar that we put on. Now what's left to do
to give this guy a shot of antibiotic, to take blood from him. So that goes in subcutaneous. The cold weather's made it really, really thick, but over time it's going to get slowly absorbed, so it's like a long-acting antibiotic because of the fact that it's been put in subcutaneously. Now the tough part, which is to get a vein up in this frigid cold weather when your fingers can't feel anything. Sure, that's up and frozen already.
Yeah.
We've still got a few more on quota, but the day's not promising to get any warmer. Well, that was one down. All of the processing of that deer, and you realize how cold your hands get when you're out there. What amazing temperatures and what an extreme condition these animals can actually thrive in. Unbelievable. Another collared animal, and the lessons that are learned from that collar, from this whole initiative are going to help into the future conservation of this unbelievable initiative here. Now we're just taking all of the measurements that we need from this animal. That blood almost freezes as it comes out. Well, we've just done a couple of whitetails this morning. The wind is still howling, the temperature's still unbelievably low. It's really hard to just get the fine motor skills and the tips of your fingers when you're trying to attach a collar, take a blood sample, all of these measurements and writing records. This is not for the faint-hearted. This is unbelievably difficult.
These are 16 and a quarter for 314. 314.86.
Identified another whitetail that we're going to be able to take. It is bitterly, bitterly cold here. Unbelievable what this wildlife can put up with. And if the wildlife can survive it, the conservationists have to put up with it. This little guy's collared. He's had an injection of antibiotic. We've got a blood sample from him, and we're almost ready to untie him and let him go. Another one down, another one collared, another bunch of data collected, and another step towards conservation. It's incredible the conditions that these white-tailed deer can live in. This is certainly not easy. This is extreme conservation in extreme conditions. You got a set quota, you got a set amount of time to get that quota. With or without good weather, it's got to happen. This is what it takes to do true conservation, and with all of the data that's gathered, with all of the effort that these guys are putting onto the front line, that's what's going to ensure more animals in a healthier ecosystem in generations to come. Unbelievably worthwhile, unbelievably tough team here on the front line, and man, without people like this, we simply wouldn't have the giant populations of wildlife that we have today. "10 minutes ago, this field behind me was a hive of activity. There was a fuel truck, there was a helicopter, there was a whole capture team. And as they fly to the next landing zone, this frozen silence returns, the frozen silence of the prairies of South Dakota. And let me tell you, it really is frozen. But what I've witnessed the last couple of days, what I've really got to be part of and put my hands on, is extreme conservation. The white-tailed deer is one of the most hunted animals on the face of the earth. By virtue of that, it generates more money in tag fees than any other single species. And that money ends up on the front line of conservation initiatives like this, supported by these hunters' dollars. The more conservation initiatives like this that exist, the more in the future people are going to know about white-tailed deer and learn about white-tailed deer, not just about white-tailed deer, but about the habitats that they require. And as long as initiatives like this exist, our children and our children ahead of those are going to get to see white-tailed deer living out here on the prairies of South Dakota. This is extreme conservation in extreme conditions, and it's all underwritten by hunters' dollars.